a minute.
Yes. And there's the deputy chief. I'll put the agenda on the screen.
All right.
All right.
Let's wait till 5:30.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
And everyone can see my screen with the agenda.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, can you hear me, Jackie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And it's 5:30. We're recording and we're open to the public. So I think we're all set.
Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Traffic Commission meeting on October 9th, 2023. Let me just read my little stuff here. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Traffic Commission will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, audio-video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of these proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the City of Somerville website. May I get a check-in about a quorum, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Here.
Councilor Gomez Moacad,
Here, all right.
Lena Webb,
Here.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
Here,
and that's 4 in attendance and just 1 absent. Lieutenant Rymel can't make it tonight.
Wonderful. All right, meeting ground rules. Listen to the other side, focus on issues, not personalities, avoid questioning motive, and let's be polite. Item number 1, acceptance, wait. Am I good? Okay, item number 1, acceptance of the minutes of the October 12th, 2023 Traffic Commission meeting. May I get a motion to accept or deny the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
Can we get a roll call vote to accept the minutes from the last meeting on October 12th? Item number 1.
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Councilor Gomez Moacad,
Yes,
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
yes,
and that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Item number 2, request for accessible parking spaces at A, 38 Hampton Street, and B, 22 Wesley Street, placed at 23rd Wesley Street. Is that correct? I have that correct? Who is here to discuss this item?
Through the chair, Adrienne Pomeroy, ADA coordinator with the City of Somerville. I have reviewed both of these applications and recommend them for approval. A note on 22 Wesley Street. There is a spot already on that side of the street, and the resident is fine with it being at 23, which is on the opposite end of the street. And this will be helpful in alternating years for snow emergencies, because there at least will be 1 HP spot available for use even in a snow emergency. So that is the philosophy behind this application, and the resident is fine with that.
Discussion on this item. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve or deny item number 2, A and B, please?
motion to approve.
Great. Can I get a second, Lena?
I'll second.
Can I get a roll call vote on item number 2, request for accessible parking spaces at A, 39 Hanson Street, and B, 22 Wesley Street, placed at 23 Wesley Street?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Councilor Gomez Moacad,
Yes,
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
yes,
and that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Unless there's any objection, I'd like to bundle items 3, 4, 5, and 6, as they seem to be all the same type of item. Any objection to that? For these fire lanes bundling? Hearing none, who is here to discuss items 3, 4, 5, and 6, please?
I guess I can discuss them there, at the request of the Fire Chief Green. That update some of the information on some of the, fire lanes, and where they were necessary. He put in these requests for fire lanes, all necessary.
All right. Would you mind reading out loud for the record, each one of these items, please?
Sure, it says request for fire lanes on Warwick Street from the corner of Cedar down both sides in an easterly direction for a distance of 20 feet. Request for a fire lane on the even side of Cross Street East, extending from curb to curb at Blakely Ave. Request for a fire lane on Blakely Ave at the intersection of Cross Street East, covering the width of the emergency access gate. Item 6, request for fire lanes on Pennsylvania Ave from the corner of Cross Street East down both sides in an easterly direction. The fire lane on the odd side of Pennsylvania Ave will run for a distance of 30 feet, and the fire on the even side of Pennsylvania Ave will run for a distance of 20 feet.
Any questions or discussions on these items?
I just want to comment, item number 3 was a request done, it's in Ward 5 by a resident. And I want to thank the fire department for taking a quick action on this. That was October 19th, and less than a month later, we're implementing this, so thank you.
Unless there's further discussion,
Motion to approve?
yep, can I get a motion to approve? Can I get a second on that motion to approve items number 3, 4, 5, and 6 fire lanes?
I'll second that.
Wonderful. Roll call vote to approve items 3, 4, 5, and 6, please.
Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 7. Regarding the curb on the east side of Beacon Street nearest 371 Beacon Street from approximately 220 feet south of Somerville Ave to approximately 260 feet south of Somerville Ave. Request to convert 40 feet of unregulated space to a no parking at any time. Who is here to discuss this item?
Through the chair, good evening, Lauren Craig, Transportation Planner in the Mobility Division. So regarding this curb space, it is currently unregulated space from when Beacon Street was reconstructed. I believe at some point it was envisioned to be used by that hotel developing there for some type of loading. That development did submit a valet application to the city, and upon reviewing this location with the parking department and working with the business, they have submitted an application for an alternative spot due to shared safety considerations for having unloading and parking in this intersection. And so through that review, we discovered a number of safety concerns with having any parking at this location, which is why we're proposing this regulation. This curb is at the transition zone out of a high use protected bike lane on Beacon. It also leads into and can obscure the view of a currently uncontrolled crosswalk that's high use by pedestrians in our city. And the curb space already would need to be reduced in order to adhere to state daylighting and clear corners laws. So in order to clear up confusion and make it safer for all cyclists, pedestrians, and drivers, we would propose turning the space into no parking at any time.
Okay. Any discussion on this item from the committee? Nada? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 7, please?
I'll make a
Motion.
motion to accept.
Great.
I'll
Can I get a-
second that motion.
Wonderful. Roll call vote on item number 7, please, to accept.
Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 8, regarding the curb on the east side of School Street from approximately 20 feet south of Medford Street to approximately 210 feet south of Medford Street. Request to make items, okay, my 6B of the March 2023 Traffic Commission meeting permanent and convert to 190 feet of resident parking to no parking at any time. Who is here to discuss this item?
Chair, I am Justin Schreiber, Senior Planner with the Mobility Division.
Mhm.
Good evening. So we're referring to the east side of School Street from Medford Street to the bridge over the GLX tracks.
Okay.
This is an area that where parking was previously restricted from about 2020 to 2022 while that bridge was closed. And then more recently, a two-way protected bike lane was added on this section of School Street as well as Medford Street to compensate for the fact that when the community path opened in June, the section behind the high school from School to Medford Street remained closed while that construction was ongoing. So while the Medford Street facility was removed a few weeks ago after the path link behind the high school opened, staff recommended, and we also received a city council order of a similar nature, that we look into making this section on School Street permanent. It is a facility that's called for on the bicycle network plan to have a two-way facility. And we believe it's, a really important link from Gilman Square up to the community path. So it's an important safety upgrade for people biking that we think should remain in place. And we're asking the commissioners to make this section, the 190 feet from the bridge, a permanent no parking anytime zone, which would leave the two-way protected bike lane in place.
Mhm.
And I just put up a Google Maps image of the area that we're talking about, just to clarify. This is obviously an outdated image, but it's this stretch of School Street to the bridge.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much. Further discussion? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny this particular item?
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to accept.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Wonderful. Roll call vote to accept item number 8, please.
Yes, Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
Yes,
and that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Item number 9, regarding the curb on the north side of Holland Street from approximately 170 feet south of Broadway to approximately 230 feet south of Broadway, request to modify the existing parking regulations to incorporate a loading zone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The curb would then be re-regulated as a 60 feet loading zone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., metered parking from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., and residential permit parking from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I got that correct. Who is here to discuss this item?
Chair, that's me, Justin Schreiber, as well.
Okay,
And I'm actually going to be speaking about 9, 10, and 11 together, because they all represent sort of relatively minor changes to parking regulations on Holland Street. When the Holland Street resurfacing project took place, sorry, Chair, go ahead.
so let me just go ahead and read items. If there's no objection to bundling these items from the committee, can we bundle? Hearing none. So item number 10, we bundled with 9 regarding the curb on the west side of Moore Street from approximately 30 feet south of Holland Street to 90 feet south of Holland Street. Request to convert a 60 feet loading zone to residential parking permit only. Another bundle for this would be item number 11 regarding the curb on the east side of the Thorndike Street from approximately 20 feet south of Holland Street to approximately 60 feet south of Holland Street. Request to modify the existing parking regulations to incorporate residential permit parking. The curb would then be regulated as a 40 feet loading zone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and a residential permit parking at all other times. So we are bundling, my understanding, 9, 10, and 11. Take it away, Justin.
Sure. So the Holland Street resurfacing project resulted in Holland Street going from parking on both sides to parking just on one side of the street. And as a part of that, we propose, and the Traffic Commission passed, a host of parking regulation changes to add new loading zones, new accessible parking spaces, new parking meters, both on Holland and on adjacent side streets like Moore Street, like Thorndike Street. And we've continued conversations with stakeholders in the area about the future of these regulations. This is sort of part of our commitment to continue to monitor these project sites. And, we're coming back today with changes we feel are needed. So item 9 would remove one of 2 loading zones on Moore Street at Holland Street. And item 10 is related because it essentially replaces that with the loading zone on Holland Street itself. This is due for a couple of reasons. One is we don't want to lose loading capacity in Teal Square, so that's why we're proposing relocating. And then in addition, the business on that corner feels they didn't need loading zones on both sides of the street, that it was an excess for his particular business. In addition, many of his delivery drivers, in fact, to use permit parking, business permits to park in permit parking areas because the loading zones may not actually be enough time for them to be parked there. So item 9 takes one of the two on Moore Street, the one on the west side of the street, converts it back to permit parking. And then item 10 extends a regulation we already have on Holland Street where meters are loading from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. It extends that to additional parking meters so that most of the parking meters as you're heading toward Teal Square will be for commercial and passenger loading from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. when that's most needed. And then item 11 does something similar on Thorndike Street. There was a loading zone that was passed just as a 24/7 loading zone with the original changes. This pares that back to 8 to 2 based on conversations with the business owner there, and then incorporates the permit parking at all their times. And I think that covers it, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anything from the committee?
I
Just
just want to
ask-
say, sorry, through you,
Yeah.
Chair, to the committee. I just want to say, like, thank you so much for this. And also, I wish that this is something that, like, residents and businesses could see happening. You know, I don't know to what extent they're aware that, like, to the extent to which you come back and revisit these projects and make these changes. I think a lot of people just see the big change and don't believe or see the refining process. But I wanted to say thank you. And I think these are logical and accommodating and benefits residents on the side streets. I know that was like a concern while taking into consideration the loading zones, and Teal has, you know, that's like our business hub up here in West Somerville. So taking that in consideration is like awesome. So thank you very much. I support these items.
I want to also second the efforts to modify and refine things, something I tell constituents all the time, you know, these are new concepts and sometimes things don't come out just the way we expected them the same time. And roads have been redesigned throughout history, so this is just part of the process. No.
Great. All right, can I get a motion to accept or deny items 9, 10, 11, please?
Motion to accept.
Can I get a second? Lena,
I will second the motion. Thank you. To approve.
can I get a roll call vote to accept items 9, 10, and 11, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
and Deputy Chief Tierney. Oh, sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to thank this committee for always just being so thoughtful and intentional and authentic and really communicating the nuance of our items. And I know sometimes our yes votes are very difficult and can be contentious for some residents, but I love that this committee actually gives thought to voting and thoughts to the questions and really, you know, sometimes asking the tough questions to our presenters. I just really want this committee to continue to be very honest and forthcoming in how we really process through our agenda, that we're just not a rubber stamp committee, that we actually do invest and care about our votes. So I want to thank all you guys, Sean, Beatrice, and Lena for your commitment and just your honesty. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty, Groovy Tune Cools Beans. Can I get a roll call vote to adjourn?
With time to spare, I will make that motion to adjourn.
And I'll make a groovy motion to second that in your honor.
Roll call vote, please, to adjourn the meeting.
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Gomez Moacad,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Deputy Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, and the motion to adjourn carries.
Thank you, guys. Gravy
Good night.
changes. Bye-bye.
All right.